Hello there, this is Rom coming back at you with yet another car video. Too many men are living in fantasy world. Too many men are living in fantasy world, and that has to stop. And let's be real where the fantasy is. It's a fantasy what a lot of men are dealing with when they dealing with women. You know, they ain't seeing women realistically. And then, you know, when it's shown to them, it's such a big shock. But then, meanwhile, you got many guys who would be considered players or, diesels, male exotic dancers, gigolos, stuff like that. Oh, they see the reality of women. But then a lot of guys are so in the fantasy world, if you try to tell them that reality, they don't want to deal with it. Like one of the biggest fantasies is that if a man is just a good guy and he got enough money, he can get a good woman. Yeah, right. I'm going to tell you something now. I've been seeing the reality of women since I was young, since the 70s. Women cheating on otherwise publicly good men. You know, that's why I always say, if you really want to get red-pilled, shit, sell all your possessions, move to a city you don't have any relatives and you're not familiar with, and start out like in the poorest section. Oh, you'll be red pill. That's real red pill right there. That's real red pill because you see the reality. You see, I'm going to tell you what, a lot of guys like I have a fantasy. And see, I'm going to tell you what. One of the biggest problems with that is a lot of women will play into that fantasy and get what they want out of men. That's why so many men get played. That is why so many men get played, because a woman, she'll sit back and play into that fantasy. She'll play into whatever. She'll be like, yes, dear, and everything. But then cheating with some scuzzy dude or something like that. And that's the biggest way right there. That's the biggest way. Like, I always have those my bad jokes and everything. But that be happening more than many men realize. Because understand something with women. They'll deal with some guys realistically. Because realistically, those guys see them for what they are and don't be tripping. But then other guys, they want some fantasy. Like you got some fantasy, like a big fantasy, a man like dealing with a woman thinking she going to be some pristine virgin. Even though she in her 30s. Come on there. Realistically, she been with some guys. And realistically, even then, it's a waste of time even asking a woman how many men she's been with. Because, A, she ain't going to tell you the truth. Or B, she going to tell you the truth and you ain't going to be able to handle it. See, realistically, they've been out there. They've been doing their thing. And then the women who probably ain't been doing their thing, they ain't going to give it to you in the bedroom like many men want. Because it killed me some. That's a fantasy. You get some men, they want that pristine virgin or that woman with limited experience, but still want that woman to, like, go off in the bedroom and shit. Nah, that's on some fantasy. Or some guy thinking, like I talked about money yesterday. Some guys live in that fantasy. Some guys actually live in that fantasy like, their money is making a difference and shit. Yeah, a woman might deal with them for security, whatever. But then she's still cheating on them too. And she dealing with him for security. And nowadays, since women got money of their own, they ain't even dealing with a lot of men for that. Or some man think, want that like real fine, there's still like guys, they want those dimes, those killer body women, but think, well, I can be in any shape I want to be in and still get that woman. And they be like, well, yeah, I seen that around. But like I said one time, I was talking about that the other day. You don't know unless you know the whole situation, you don't know what's going on with them. You know, a lot of guys are not dealing with it. Because I'm going to tell you what, and I've said this several times, I've never really got played big time by a woman. Never really got played big time by a woman. Because I've been seeing that bullshit, how they cheat and all of that since the 70s. And shit, nothing a woman does surprises me. I'm still waiting. You know? I'm still waiting. But see, you got a lot of guys, and it's scary how many guys think they know some shit, but then they still thinking, well, they going to get that top woman, or, you know, she just going to like him just because, you know, he's some good ordinary guy or something like that. Nah. You might find that woman. But see, women, one of the main things is women want to be turned on sexually. That's a fantasy some guys live in too. They thinking they can be any type of man and still get that woman who's getting sexual attention. But they think they ain't shit in bed, don't know what to do, but think they're gonna get that hot woman. In fact, I was watching a TV show. I'll put it out there. Big Bang Theory. Because there was an episode I really liked. I don't really watch it, but my co-parent and my oldest son really love that show. And I was looking at it, I would say, you know, this show is like a fantasy for nerdy guys. In fact, there's a whole lot of shows like that if you think about it. You know, get some out of shape dude, get some like fine woman or something. They've been doing that since the Flintstones. Fantasy for men. Some of these shows. Shallow Hal. Well, no, actually not that one. But be like some fantasy, like a dude could be whatever way and still get that hot woman. You know? Even on that Revenge of the Nerds thing, that was some low-key rape, though. Get a nerd and shit. All of that shit is fantasy. That shit been fantasy for a while. Because if you want to... First of all, look, here's the issue with an attractive woman. You got to have a lot of shit going on for yourself. They ain't going to get some ordinary guy. They ain't going to get some average guy. For the simple reason, they got a ton of guys going for them, so that's what they're going to focus on. But see, a lot of guys, they are still getting that fantasy. Even now, they were like, well, how can I get that woman? It was like, look at yourself, man. You think that top woman going to want your ass? You know, what do you got going on? And not even just looks and shit. Not even just the looks. But what have you got going on that's above average? Because if that woman got about 100 men going for her, she gonna pick the best. That's just a woman's nature. That's a woman's nature right there. You know? They gonna pick the best, whatever it is. They ain't gonna just grab any type of guy. But you know, and I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that a lot. That a lot of guys are still in that fantasy world. It's even in, well, I ain't gonna say where I seen this, but you get some guys. They think they still want the top women. But even in my book, Meeting Attractive Women, I said, you want that attractive woman, you gotta be an attractive man. But see, that's hurting a lot of guys. And then when the guys don't get that woman, oh, they get mad at everybody else. They get mad at Chad and Tyrone. Getting mad at Pookie and Ray Ray. And instead of saying, okay, you want that top woman, what are you doing to be the top man? And not even just your looks, but what you can control. You know? Are you doing body game? You letting the barber bless you? Are you a leader? You being a top masculine man? Be some average, below average dude. Don't stand out in any way, but thinking some fine ass woman should want him. That's fantasy. That's fantasy. And you know, it's a shame, and that's one of those things I grew out of, because I used to think women were on that fantasy. And they got plenty, but, you know, every day that I see it, every day I get older, and I'm saying, you know, you got more men on these fantasies. Because one thing about women are pragmatic as shit. They'll have fantasies, but they pragmatic. Because, yeah, they'll still deal with a guy that ain't all that. But only for a pragmatic reason. They can't get the top dudes. But then as soon as the top dude, like, show them some interest or something, or return that call, all of a sudden the woman want to deal with him. Oh, man. Yeah, that's when average Joe should make you double back home one day. Shit. And then you get some guys, they call themselves embracing that. They embrace what they are, but that's some bullshit too. Any man can fix up. He can fix up to his best. Any man can fix up to his best. You know, because that's one thing on this channel. My shit is always about fixing up to a man just becoming his best. The best version of himself. That's my biggest thing. And you can still get a decent woman. I would say, if a man fix up, he can get maybe not an 8 to 10, but maybe a 6 to 8. And that's still above average. But he still got to fix up. He still got to fix his shit up. He can't be just some ordinary Joe thinking he going to do something. But you get some guys, they don't want to do shit. They don't want to do shit, yet they want a top woman. They don't want to fix up. Definitely don't want to do body game. You know, don't want to dress well. Don't have anything going on about them, but still want a top woman. That's fantasy world. Look, one thing men gotta do is really fix up. Is really deal with the reality of a situation. And that's actually a major problem overall with a lot of men. You got a lot of men complaining they can't get a woman, and well, nah, they ain't dealing with a woman, and you know, they ain't all that. You know, feeling bad, shit, not loving their life, ending themselves. And yes, I'm gonna say bullshit on all of it. If you be realistic, if a man is realistic, getting out of fantasy world, he'll find there's plenty of women. Plenty of women. You also realize, shit, always getting the top women. Unless you there, if you're dealing with the reality of where you at, you can get a woman. You stay in your lane, that's being realistic. And like I said, if you don't like your lane, ain't nothing wrong if you don't like your lane. So what are you doing to like raise yourself out of? What are you doing? Because it really is sad when, you know, you got some guys, they be wanting like the top women and all of this stuff, but they don't want to do shit. Now, if you want to work and stuff, hey, you know, that's the best thing. If you're willing to do the work, hey, fine. And those guys win. The guys willing to do the work. But if you don't want to do the work, but still think you're going to get that top woman, or think you could just wave some money at her, or Even some guys living in a fantasy. You remember, I used to get hit up by a couple guys, and they would say, well, what can I say to a woman to make her want to sleep with me? Ain't nothing. If she ain't feeling your ass, she ain't feeling your ass. Shit, ain't nothing you can do. What are you doing? What are you doing to create your bait? What are you doing to make yourself sexually attractive? But they in a fantasy. Want a fantasy word, magic word. You know. Want to get out of their league. And I'm gonna say this again. You want to get out of you want a woman above your league. Well, shit, fix yourself up. Anybody can hit the gym. Anybody can have the barber bless them. Shit, fix your teeth. It don't cost that much to fix your teeth. Or a few thousand, shit, you can fix up. I say in most cases, most men can fix themselves up at least a couple points if you're going to use that point system. But see, you got some dudes fantasizing, they sitting around not doing anything, sitting on their ass thinking they're going to get something. It's like, it don't work that way. And shit. And like I said, you got the crying shame is really these so many guys getting played, because you get some women who will play right into that fantasy and play these guys. Because I give it to the women players. They'll read the guy's fantasy because he'll pretty much tell it. And it's like, oh, okay. Like the biggest one is like these guys thinking, you know, their bank account is turning the woman on sexually. And you get some women play right into that shit. They'll play right into it. Or you get some guys, they can't deal with a woman's sexual nature, so they'll play right into it. That woman knows she done been with more. She knows she done been with more men than she can count on her fingers and her toes. And your fingers and toes. But she'll act like Miss Innocent and stuff because she know that'll work. She'll play right into that. And then act like one of my favorites. This is my favorite, though, that a woman run. I give it to a woman. I applaud them. Game recognized game. They act like, nah, they don't be getting down like that. Like, you know you do. I've actually dealt with some women, they tried that on me, and I told them straight up. I was like, come on, man, you know you be getting there. Yeah, why I tell them that? Get bite marks on me and everything. But shit, I just told them straight up. Can read them well. Can read women very well, but one thing with guys, too much caught up in that fantasy, they can't even read a woman. All they can see is what they want to see. They got rose-colored glasses. They ain't really seeing what's actually there. See, when you can see what's actually there and you can accept what's actually there, then you can actually get into it. In fact, I've had a couple guys ask me about getting into the sexual shadow work. One of the ways you can get in is you got to accept that, well, one, it exists. Two, that's where women, they're going to be free sexually. But they'll test you and stuff. Women will test you. They'll be like, they'll say something or throw something out, see what your reaction is. If you act all prudish or like, nah, I don't want to mess with them, whatever. Shoot, even some men going overseas, yeah, I'm going to go there. Thinking they're going to get some innocent woman. Please. Those ones, you got some women overseas, man, they got better game than any woman in the West does. Way better game. Because they know the guys ain't getting that attention, so what they do, they play right into that. They play right into that. Get what they want. Be all complimentary and stuff. Like I said, game recognized game. That's why I say, even if you go overseas, get involved in the culture, get away from the tourist areas. But you gotta deal with the reality. That's why I like street dudes be winning over with some women, because street dudes, street cats, they gotta be reading. Part of their thing is they reading the woman well. They seeing right through. And part of their thing is they let a woman be free. See, men looking into that fantasy and all of that, they ain't free. They're not free. You gotta let that shit go. Deal with the reality. And see, here's the thing though, man. If you deal with reality, then you see stuff a whole lot different. You see stuff. You can see what's right in front of you. And one, you can see women better. Two, you ain't getting played. Because so many women are getting, well, so many men are getting played, rather. There's some women getting played too. That's another video. But so many men are getting played. It's a crying ass shame. It's a crying ass shame. So many men getting played out here because they in a fantasy. Because the women like lining them up, playing them and stuff. Alright. But you know, I guarantee there ain't some men. I guarantee this. There's some men, they might know a woman and they say, is he saying true? And the woman gonna be like, no. But if I meet that same woman, I'm gonna be like, how much money you getting out of them? She'd be like, I'm getting a lot. Don't mess with my game. You want to cut? Well, I'll be like, well, yeah, I know a little bit about pimping. Anyway, y'all, a lot of men just need to get out of fantasy world, deal with the realities out here, man. So you got to. Because if you don't, trust me, you have a long, frustrating life. Alright? So anyway, it's Friday. Y'all know I ain't hollering at y'all tomorrow. So I'll get back with y'all. Peace and blessings.